Thank you for joining us, Amanda. For all of our guests today, we're with Amanda Dusold. Amanda is getting ready to kick off our second annual payroll tax update with AIM. I think we've done 35 of these, if I'm somewhere in that over the last 35 years, but this is Amanda's second time with us, backed by popular demand. And this year, we're going to have a little different program. We're going to do one program in person in the Peoria community. And then we're going to come back and have a second program that's going to be a combined audience live in person and also simulcast. So all of our members have a chance to participate a couple of different ways. Amanda, first, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you first have going on with the Bond County CEO program, please.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Phil. So I am Amanda Dusold. I am a CPA and I am an instructor here in the accounting department, school business at Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville. One of my side hustles is also I am the facilitator of the Bond County CEO program. So if you're not familiar with CEO program, it stands for Creating Entrepreneurial Opportunities. We have, I want to say 70 maybe programs across the United States, mostly in rural communities where they take high school students and they get them out of the classroom and they put them in communities, in businesses. They get away from the sit and get education and they learn about business. They create their own class business the first semester, and then they create their own individual businesses the second semester. So that is pretty much, that's what the CEO program stands for.
That is awesome. I know our employers can appreciate that. And pre-program, there was a little conversation just around getting that practical work experience and getting a chance to work at that level versus maybe at the level that they get interaction in the high school classroom. So fantastic. Approximately how many kids enroll in this program each year?
So my program has 2 high schools that feed into it, and we have currently 15 students in our class or in our program. A couple of the other, like Edwardsville, Clinton County, so like the other local counties, about 25 students, because you can have 4 or 5 high schools pooling into one program. And then there's some programs that are smaller. So
good. Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad that somebody like yourself is doing that. I got a chance to listen to the presentation last year on the payroll tax, and you got a world of insight. I know this is what you do at the university and help businesses do this as well as on the side. If I remember correctly, you also have kind of a side gig doing payroll and those types of things as well. Am I correct?
Yes, that was, I would like to say, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I had my own accounting firm and I was a payroll processor for several years. When I got out of that business and started teaching, my husband took over the firm and took it in a different way. But yes, accounting, taxation, payroll, all of those interesting topics.
I guess the reason I bring that up is fantastic because you're not just a classroom theorist. You've actually practiced this. You understand what it's like.
Yes.
If we're saying, hey, we want to give all of our employees a $25 gas card because fuel prices are high. What do we do with that from a taxation standpoint?
Right. And I would tell you to throw it on their
side of things you've done.
Yes. Throw it on their paycheck because it's a taxable infringement. But yes, exactly.
All right.
I've been in the weeds.
All right, so that's exactly what we like. So let's just give some highlights of what we might be talking about during the payroll tax update that's coming up. Is it December? I'm looking here. And by the way, I'll make a correction. It's the 37th annual payroll tax. I think I said 35 years. Let's see. I'm looking for a date.
I think it's the 6th and 7th or the 7th and 8th.
It is. Yep. December 6th is in Peoria and December 7th will be in St. Louis. So tell us first, let's break it into 2 segments. Things that we might talk about from a federal standpoint, and then we'll break it into some of the highlights of some state changes.
So federally, payroll tax doesn't really change year over year. We are doing a higher level, a deeper dive into some of the fringe benefits based on the conversations that we had last year, making sure, to your point, if I pay a gas card or give a gas card, what is taxable, what is not. But federally, the hot topics that I'm seeing are the Secure 2.0 Act, which has to do with retirement plans. There is a new e-filing requirement that's effective into 2024. As far as it used to be 250 W-2s, now it's down to 10 W-2s and 1099s together. So the IRS has a new portal for that to help us with 1099s. This white collar threshold is some things on the horizon that are still being talked about, whether or not we're going to increase that threshold to what's considered exempt employees for white collar types of professions. And then this always comes up pre or post COVID. It would happen pre-COVID as well, but remote workers and multi-state taxation, that's still on the horizon. The other things just to be familiar with as for employee benefit or for employee purposes, like maybe your employees might be asking about, is earned wage access. And that's the basically pay as you go. I don't want to say daily payroll, but that's something that's definitely some companies are starting to offer. And then the gig economy, just being aware that you are going to have employees who have side hustles like myself, and the taxations related to that.
Yeah, so I do hear from our members more and more about employees in different states, right, that are working remotely, and where they are assigned to which home office, and all kinds of challenges that come with that. So I'm really happy to hear that's going to be part of the conversation by design. And does that matter? Because this is a question I get, where the employee is assigned, if they're working, for an example, in the state of Illinois, but we have no physical business in Illinois and all of our business is in Michigan, per se. Does that make a difference on the payroll side of things for remote workers?
So business school answer, it depends. And that's where I think
Bert's gonna love it. Bert's gonna love it. Our lawyer.
It depends, right? Certain states have reciprocity. Certain states have rules that say it's benefit of the employer. So if I'm working remotely because it benefits you. And then most states are, if I am physically working in Illinois, I need to physically withhold taxes in Illinois. And I have just created nexus for your company.
Right.
And so that's what's on the pipeline, is that we want a federal government. We want a rule that basically tries to level the playing field, right? Like maybe a 30-day, hey, this can happen, but trying to make states be more similar, because it's gone like wildfire with people having this now, multi-state workers.
And does that make a difference? And I'm just trying to give our audience a level of some of the conversation that we always have in these programs. For somebody who, and I'm going to use an example, in this case, let's just say, let's use Missouri and Illinois as an example. I live in Illinois, my office is in Missouri, but 2 days a week I work from home.
Right.
Right. We didn't used to have that scenario as frequently as we do today. So that would be considered remote work under that definition, although I'm still in the same I haven't moved away. Most of us think, oh, I moved away, now I have to deal with it differently. But now if I have remote work on a traditional schedule, that's my question.
Yeah. And I think, again, it comes down to what the state rules are, what the state law is. Some states is 14 days. And you could, for example, City of St. Louis, they withheld city taxes for all those employees who were working from home during the pandemic. And they pushed back and said, we weren't in the city, we were working from our home. So, and there is really no hardcore, this is the rule for everybody. Again, you have to dig into it and figure out what's going on with your with your employee, with your states.
So I think for cities that have, and for businesses that are on boundary borders, Missouri, Illinois, Florida, Georgia, it could be Indy and Illinois, it's really understanding what those boundary borders requirements are. Right. Different from I actively go somewhere, hire someone in a different state who really works there all the time. Exactly. Or someone requests to move and works there all the time, where now, if I just work 1 day a week from home on a schedule in Illinois, I'm going to exceed 14 days.
Yes.
So it's understanding that complication. And I think that right there becomes the price of admission. That's a very important piece of detail for people to understand, because we didn't used to deal with it quite so much.
No. And talking about trying to appease your employees, trying to appeal to the younger generation workforce. We had an employee who basically just said, I know I can work remotely. I'm going to move to Texas. So then you as the employer decide, okay, is this person indispensable to my organization? Am I going to be willing to create nexus in that state and follow those rules? So yeah, it's definitely, like I said, there is no guidance right now, except for everybody's different. But the fact that it should give us all a comfy, cozy feeling that there is a push for that, and that there hopefully something coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, that I'll be happy when that happens, if that ever does happen. But I think I got the message. Let's break it down to on a state side. Is there any of the states, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Florida, those are our primary states, any of those states that are going through any changes that are worth mentioning from a state standpoint?
Yeah, the main one is Illinois. It's the Paid Leave for All Workers Act is effective in 2024. So that is requiring PTO, being accrual of a PTO up to 40 hours for all employees, even part-time.
Okay. Yeah. So that one definitely is going to make a change. And one of the questions I have coming out of that frequently, and we've been doing several programs on that, Bert and I did a great program, had lots of attendance, is do I have to count that separately than my other time off? And from a payroll standpoint, I would assume you're going to be faced with that question. Do I actually need, if I offer PTO and now I have
Vacation.
Illinois paid time off requirements, do I have to track each one separately?
Now, guess what I'm going to tell you?
It depends.
It depends, right? They do have some guidance on the Illinois website about that, but basically you might be opening a can or opening yourself up if you don't. Like, this might be more of you can do that, but for best practices, you might want to track it separately.
Right. And I'm assuming you're going to cover some best practices for people to consider.
Yes.
Absolutely. There it is. So if you join the payroll tax coming up on December 6th and 7th, you'll get the details related to it depends, and you'll be able to ask questions around that as well. Amanda, thanks for being our guest on the program today.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your colleagues. Forward our invites. Share the link aimea.org/thisweekatwork, or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment, like LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere you are. And you can be part of the show. Send your questions and comments anytime to info@thisweek.work. We'll see you next week, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, when we discuss what's happening this week at work.